Hey there. If you're watching this, it's because something extraordinary happened to me. Something that flipped my entire world upside down. I died. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the absolute truth. And what I saw, what I experienced on the other side, well, it wasn't just a vision. It was a revelation. I'm still trying to piece it all together, but I know, deep down, that I have to share it with you. God, or whatever you call that higher power, has a message. And trust me, it's one you need to hear. So buckle up, because this is one wild ride. Stick around until the end, I promise it'll all make sense. And hey, before I get into the details, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I want to see how far this message reaches. I'll be reading as many of these comments as I can. My name is Maria, and for most of my 32 years, life has been a straight-up hustle. I'm a single mom, living in Atlanta, juggling a million things at once, just trying to keep my head above water. By day, I worked as a waitress, hustling tips, dealing with all kinds of folks, but my real passion, my soul fire, it was in my art. I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. Every free second I had, I was painting, sketching, creating whatever came to my mind. I've always felt compelled to bring color and vibrancy to a world that feels increasingly gray. A world that's quick to put you in a box and tell you who you are. So I've decided to do the same with my work, but in reverse, to explore the richness and variety of color and perspective, to push back against the darkness and monotony. Unfortunately, passion doesn't pay the bills, but that's a reality I've come to terms with, See, growing up as a black woman in America ain't exactly been a walk in the park. There's a whole history of oppression, struggle, and just straight-up injustice that's been handed down, generation after generation. And as I got older, I felt that weight, that burden, more and more. It was like a constant pressure, always reminding me that no matter how hard I worked, how talented I was, there were still forces out there trying to hold me back. Like, I'd walk around the streets of Atlanta, and I'd see the resilience and strength in the eyes of other black women. But I'd also see the pain, the exhaustion, the years of fighting a system that just wasn't built for us to win. I was tired of it. I was tired of seeing my sisters held back. And honestly, I felt kind of powerless. Like, what could one person do against such deeply ingrained systemic problems, I believed in God. I believed in the power of prayer. But honestly, my faith had been tested, pushed to its absolute limit. I was trying to raise my beautiful 10-year-old daughter, Imani, to be strong, confident, and proud of her heritage. But it was hard, man, when the world kept sending her messages that she wasn't good enough, wasn't pretty enough, wasn't smart enough. It broke my heart, So I poured all of my frustrations, my hopes, my fears, into my art. But even then, it felt like I was just scratching the surface. I wanted to do more. I wanted to make a real difference, but I didn't know where to start. I started losing hope. I lost touch with my purpose. My health was suffering too. I've had asthma my whole life, but the stress and the constant hustle were making it worse. The pressure in my chest was getting unbearable. There's this feeling when you have asthma, like an elephant is sitting on you. It just doesn't let you breathe. It's like the breath is there, but just won't come, no matter how hard you pull. So it was a pretty normal day, at least until it wasn't. I was running late picking up Imani from school, as usual. It was a hot, humid Atlanta afternoon, the kind of weather that just clings to you, making it hard to breathe even on a good day. I was already stressed from a rough shift at the diner, a bunch of rude customers and a manager who just didn't get it. As I was speeding down the street, trying to make up time, I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. I reached for my inhaler, but it wasn't there. Panic set in. I started gasping for air, my vision blurring, and the world around me started to fade. Next thing I knew, I was losing control of the car, swerving all over the road, the sound of horns blaring around me. I remember thinking, oh God, Imani. And then everything went black. They told me later that it was my worst asthma attack ever. That I flatlined at the scene. That I was dead for almost 7 minutes before they brought me back. 7 minutes. 7 minutes on the other side. That was more than enough to change my life forever. The next thing I knew, I was floating, drifting above my body. I could see everything. The paramedics working frantically on me, the flashing lights of the ambulance, the crowd of people gathered around, staring with a mix of curiosity and horror. I could even see myself lying there lifeless on the ground, and, weirdly, I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel anything. There was no pain, no panic, just a strange sense of detachment, like I was watching a movie. I tried to yell, to tell them to hurry, to tell them that I needed to get to Imani. But no sound came out. It was like I was a ghost, invisible and unheard. Then, I felt this gentle pull, not physical, but something deeper, something spiritual. It was like an invisible hand was guiding me upward, away from the chaos and the confusion, away from the world I knew. I didn't know where I was going, but I wasn't afraid. I was just curious, excited, even. The higher I floated, the more peaceful I felt. All the stress, all the worries, all the burdens I had been carrying just melted away, like snow in the sun. Then, in the distance, I saw it. A light. It wasn't like any light I had ever seen before. It wasn't harsh or blinding, but warm, inviting, almost like it was alive. It pulsed with a gentle energy, and it drew me in, calling me home. The closer I got, the brighter it became, and the more real it felt. I wanted to rush towards it, to dive right in. But something held me back. I knew I couldn't go yet, and that's when I met her. I couldn't see her face clearly, but her presence was overwhelming, like a wave of love and compassion washing over me. She was radiant. She wasn't like any human I'd ever seen. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, and her eyes held the wisdom of centuries. She seemed to be made of pure light and energy, yet she was solid, real. She was an angel. I knew it in my bones. Or maybe more than an angel. A guide, a guardian, a messenger. She didn't speak with her mouth, but directly into my mind, clear as day. "Maria," she said, "it's not your time yet. There are things you need to see, things you need to know." And then, everything shifted. The light intensified, the world around me dissolved, and I found myself in a place unlike anything I could have ever imagined. It was a realm of pure energy, of swirling colors, of infinite possibilities. It wasn't heaven, not exactly. It wasn't hell either. It was something in between, a place where souls went to learn, to heal, to prepare for what came next. She led me to a vast, shimmering tapestry, woven with threads of light and shadow. "Look," she said, and as I looked, the tapestry began to unfold, revealing a story, a history that I had never known, but had always felt in my bones. That's when she showed me the truth, a truth about Black women, about their power, their resilience, their spiritual significance that had been hidden, suppressed, and stolen for centuries. She showed me the ancient kingdoms of Africa, the powerful queens, the wise healers, the gifted artists, the women who had been the backbone of their communities, the keepers of their culture, the guardians of their spirituality. She showed me the depth of our connection with the divine. It was so much deeper than we could ever imagine. She showed me our origin, our source. It was such a powerful revelation. But then she showed me the darkness that had been trying to steal our light. She said, "The world has not just ignored their value, but actively tried to diminish it, to make sure that Black women didn't remember who they are." I saw the slave ships, the chains, the brutal violence, the intentional destruction of our families, our languages, our traditions. I saw the psychological warfare, the constant messages telling us that we were ugly, unintelligent, unworthy of love and respect. The world was on replay, and I was in a stadium seat, unable to pause or stop. But then she showed me something else, something even more profound. The spiritual forces that had been working behind the scenes, manipulating events, spreading lies, and trying to cut off Black women from their source of power. I saw the subtle ways that these forces had infiltrated our minds, our hearts, our communities, sowing seeds of self-doubt, division, and despair. But even then, even in the face of such overwhelming oppression, the light in Black women could never be extinguished. There was a fire in our souls that refused to be quenched, a resilience that refused to be broken, a spirit that refused to be defeated. It was like I was watching a movie, but it was more real than anything I'd ever experienced. It was visceral, it was emotional, it was raw. And as I watched, I began to understand something profound. That this wasn't just about race, it wasn't just about history, it was about something much bigger, something much deeper. She said to me, their strength has always come from a source much deeper than anything the world can offer. It was about a spiritual battle, a cosmic struggle between light and darkness, and Black women were at the very center of it. The angel then showed me the future, a future where Black women would rise up, reclaim their power, and lead the world into a new era of compassion, wisdom, and justice. I saw Black women becoming healers, teachers, leaders, artists, and activists, using their unique gifts to transform their communities and the world. I saw them breaking down barriers, challenging systems of oppression, and creating a world where all people were treated with dignity and respect. It was like a symphony of light, a beautiful and harmonious expression of divine love. Your people, they are now being called back to action, and that they will be the forerunners in restoring love to the world, she told me. But she made one request, to inspire other Black women with their purpose. Remember, she said, her voice echoing in my soul, true strength lies not in fighting against the darkness, but in embracing the light within. It is time for Black women to awaken to their power, to reclaim their heritage, and to lead the world into a new era of love, justice, and compassion. And as she spoke those words, I felt a surge of energy coursing through my veins, a fire igniting in my soul, a sense of purpose that I had never known before. I knew that I had to go back, that I had to share this message with the world, that I had to do everything in my power to help Black women awaken to their true potential. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the vision ended, the angel faded away, the light dimmed, and I felt myself being pulled backward, back to the world I had left behind. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave that place of peace and love and purpose. But I knew I had a mission, a calling, that I couldn't ignore. I gasped for air. My eyes flew open, and I was back in the hospital bed, surrounded by the beeping of machines and the concerned faces of my family. I was alive, but I was forever changed. I had seen the other side. I had spoken with an angel, and I had been given a mission to inspire Black women to embrace their power and transform the world. The journey since then hasn't been easy. I've faced skepticism, doubt, and even outright hostility. Some people think I'm crazy, that I'm just making it all up. Others are afraid of the message, afraid of what it means for the existing power structures. But I refuse to be silenced. I know what I saw, I know what I felt, and I know that this message is too important to keep to myself. And now, I'm sharing it with you. So, what does this all mean for you? It means that the time is now. The world is on the brink of a spiritual shift, and Black women are the key to unlocking it. If you are a Black woman, I urge you to embrace your power, to reclaim your heritage, to connect with the divine source of your strength. Don't let anyone tell you that you are less than, that you are not worthy, that you cannot make a difference. You are a force of nature, a beacon of light, a warrior of love, and the world needs your voice, your gifts, your wisdom, now more than ever. If you are not a Black woman, I urge you to stand in solidarity with us, to support us, to amplify our voices, and to challenge the systems of oppression that have held us back for so long. Recognize that our liberation is intertwined with your own, that we are all interconnected, and that together we can create a world where all people are free to thrive. What are you waiting for?